This is IPSec. Mostly known for its high-performance softwares that make it very technical and
That was interesting.
All right. All right, guys. Well, welcome back to another CyberSec Tuesday. I'll be covering subdomain takeovers today. I might ask some questions to you guys, so feel free to answer, but we'll save like the general questions to the very end. But yeah, subdomain takeovers. Anybody here familiar with them before, or actually have like messed around with doing any takeovers? Nay. So this is a topic that's fairly new to me. I've heard about them in the past, but I wasn't super familiar with them. So I wanted to kind of go and experiment with them myself and play around with it hands-on, just to give me some background on how they worked, what was the what was the vulnerability with them and the threats behind them. So I'll kind of go into that. I'll go into what they are, how to mitigate against them. I'll give a couple demos as well too, and yeah, go from there. So for those that are new, my name is Sean Sinek. I think most of you guys know me, but I see a couple new faces here. I'm a senior cloud security engineer. Been doing it for many years now. Those are the certs I got. Yada yada yada. Move along. So subdomain takeovers. So in a nutshell, kind of what they are you have let's say you have a service that's in your company, or maybe it's your personal website, whatnot, and you have a subdomain, like a CNAME record in your DNS for your domain, pointing to that service. Let's say over time, though, that service gets decommissioned and it's no longer in use. What an attacker can do actually is it doesn't work in all the cases, but in a lot of cases, an attacker has a good chance to be able to then register a service and point it to your domain. So when somebody goes to your subdomain, it will, instead of pointing to your service, which would have been decommissioned a while ago, it would go to the malicious actor's service, which is, not good. Some reasons why it's bad is cookie theft, for example. Most web applications, they might use session cookies that are provided for authentication. And I'll give an example of a session cookie here that points to a domain, and they can be, the attacker can then steal the valid session tokens or cookies from users that travel to those domains, and they can then be used to bypass authentication for that user that's leveraging that cookie with the same privileges that user has. So if you consider that cookie that you see there, or the cookie values, the domain attribute determines which host the cookie can be set to. And in that specific cookie there, a browser will send the session cookie and all the HTTP requests that's sent to that domain or that subdomain. And therefore, if the subdomain is taken over, an attacker would be able to steal that session cookie of any user who accesses that compromised subdomain. In some regards, depends on the security mechanisms that you have set up on the site. Also, it could be used in phishing campaigns. So let's say somebody has the subdomain and then go to phish you in your company via like an email. It could look like it's when they click on the website to that's like the malicious version of the website. You can, if you're using that actual subdomain, it's the main domain there is actually like a legitimate domain from that company, even though the subdomain's been taken over. So that can bypass a lot of protections that are out there for email phishing controls. It can trick users into thinking it's legitimate, things like that. Data exfiltration, a good example for that would be, let's say you have like an egress proxy that's preventing egress out of your network, and you say, we only allow XYZ domains to be contacted from our internal corporate network or from our internal production servers. If that domain is on there and it allows those subdomains, then the user could theoretically use that malicious domain or malicious web server that's been leveraging that subdomain that's been taken over to then pipe data out to it to bypass those firewall or those egress protection in those cases. And all this kind of could lead to reputational damage and could cause people not to really trust your brand, especially if you can't control. If you have somebody that's taken over a whole domain and using it for malicious purposes, it doesn't really look good for your company. There's a lot of different things that can come with that. So that's just kind of a simplified threat point of view, at least from what I was able to pull under. And at the very end, I'd like to hear your guys' thoughts on this, and if you have any comments. So I'll give some demos. That's what going to be most of this talk's going to be about. So I'll give two demos. One will be with a S3 bucket, which is the most simplified version of this, and then I'll use another service out there that allows for subdomain takeovers. Not like they don't allow it out of like design, but they're vulnerable to it. I do provide this site here. It's called it's a GitHub a repo that shows sites that are vulnerable to subdomain takeovers. So let me load up a browser and show you guys that real quick. So give me 1 second. All right, so I'm gonna pull this up. So, oh wait, this is not the right thing. Hold on, this one. I'll show some. There'll be some tools I'll show for this as well too, on how to actually detect these possible subdomain takeover. So this repo here, this will be in the slide deck. I'll provide the slide deck at the very end. But these are some sites that are potentially vulnerable to subdomain takeover. So you'll see in here, there is a couple of these I tried to get to work and I couldn't. So this list might be a little out of date. It was last updated 9 months ago. But I was able to verify this with the surge.sh, which I'll do a demo on, as well as Kingdom. You guys might be familiar with that service. Readme.io is another one I tried, but I couldn't recreate the vulnerability with it. There's tons of different other ones. So these are just a few sites that are out there, but there are a ton more. So first thing I will do is do the S3 example. So give me 1 second to set it up. What we'll be doing, we'll be testing test.null44.org. And actually, let me switch over to another browser so it loads up a little faster. This will work on. So I'm going to launch this up in incognito so I don't get anything cached, so it's more true. You guys can still see my Chrome browser here.
Yep.
All right, cool. So you can see right here, test.null44.org takes you to a hello world. So this is going to be like my demo website. I just really basic. But let me pull up my S3 bucket. I'm going to show you guys how this works. And I got to pull up DNS records. So I'm going to leverage Cloudflare. We leverage Cloudflare for null44. So I will pull that up real quick too. So give me 1 second. All right, so let's got this on their screen. All right, here we go. So you guys can see here, I have this a CNAME record for this. It's just tests. It's pointing to this S3 bucket test.no44.org. So this is a record that we're going to play around with as the example here. So a lot of people use S3 buckets to host static websites, which is what I'm doing in this example. And we're going to recreate this. If you go back to that slide deck that I had a minute ago, which was right here, I'll leave this up so you guys can see how this, what I'm going to display to you works. This goes through it while I pull up the S3 bucket. So give me 1 second. All right, so here we got the our AWS account. So we're going to pull up this bucket. This bucket's just test.null44.org. And in here is the index.html page. This is literally just hosting hello world. And this is just going to demo our website. And everything that's in this bucket is public. So for the example here, somebody goes and let's say the service gets decommissioned. This website, hello world here, is no longer being used, and we go and as like an admin here, we're going to go delete the bucket. So let me do that. I'm just going to go and I got to empty it first. And let me do that. So empty the bucket, and I am going to delete the bucket. This is a really basic attack, but this just gives you some examples of something you can simulate at home. So you'll see here that it's you get a 404 now, but the CNAME record's still pointing to that bucket. But let's say we're an admin and we aren't aware of this subdomain takeover, and we don't get around to cleaning up that subdomain. What a malicious actor can then do is go and, as you can guess, they would go and recreate a bucket with that same exact name. They don't really need to get very creative. I'm just going to call this new bucket the same thing, test.no44.org. We can create this on any other AWS account. Doesn't really matter. So the malicious actors can do the same thing. So I'm going to create a bucket.
Before you continue, could you do me a favor real quick? Can you switch back to the other screen and copy paste that whole error, the 404 not found, all the error, all that shit, like stick it in the whatever meetup text?
Sure. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Do you want to copy paste, or you just want a screenshot?
Copy paste the text. Thank you.
Okay. Let me find it real quick. 1 second.
I could just put it in there. Oh,
there you go.
Thank you.
Cool. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create a bucket. And I'll just run through this in case you guys didn't know about this process. I am going to make sure this bucket is going to be public. And I am not going to add a bucket key on here. It doesn't really matter, but I'm going to acknowledge that I'm making this public, which by default now they try to make buckets by default not public. And then what I'm going to do is I am going to open up a terminal, and I am going to just create a vim. I'm going to call it index.html, And I'm just going to put in here, I am evil. This will be our evil website. It's just literally going to say I am evil. This is how you're going to tell the difference between the two. And I'm going to save that as index.html. Go in here. I will then upload that file. This is really basic, so bear with me. So I'm going to add that in here. It should load. Hold on. Oh man, I'm doing this wrong here. Why is it not popping up? There we go. Here we go. And then what we got to do is make sure the object is able to be read and there's no ACLs on it that are blocking it. And actually what we could do is go here to the bucket, go to permissions, block all public access is off, go down to properties, scroll the way to the bottom and create a static website out of this. And these are the same setups that were set up for the last bucket. We're going to have an index.html file. And let's see what else. I think the permissions here need to be allowed to be read. And save. And if this did work, no, it didn't work yet. There's one more setting I'm forgetting here. I think it's on the actual object itself. Make sure they make it really hard to make things public nowadays. There might be an easier way to do this too. What am I forgetting? Am I missing anything obvious, guys? Let's see. It's public. The domain is the same. This is the key thing. This is what we're pointing the CNAME record to because, and it's all just based on the bucket name itself. That's why we were able to recreate it and not have to change the CNAME record. I'll set list, maybe. I thought I got everything. Make sure I didn't forget anything in here. No, it's enabled. Bummer. No44.org. Can't think of anything else I'm missing in here. Oh, read. See, okay, this might be it. All right, let's see if it works now. Oops. There we go. Okay. So so does this make sense? Did anybody see the vulnerability here with this? Just make sure this is not, so without having to do anything, we're able to then compromise this. And this all has to do with dangling DNS records here, which is going back to this diagram here. This shows you exactly what we just went through. So this is a really basic presentation of how to do it this way. A lot of sites do host their websites in S3, and multiple websites within like subnets, subdomains. So that's one example. I'll jump into another example. This is with a service called surge.sh. This is actually kind of a cool service that I just learned about in part of this research. If I can get my window to pop up here. What the heck is going on here? Here we go. I'll just use this right here. So surge.sh is it's a site to make it really easy for you to take a to make static websites like through the the command line. What you literally do is you can have a site in a folder. For this example, we're just going to use the HTML file, and then you can use npm to install Surge, and then you just run Surge, and then it'll actually deploy that. So that's what we'll do for this other example. And then we'll make some changes to the CNAME record for this as well. So give me 1 second. What we'll do, let me go to this. I'm just going to create a folder real quick, and then we'll switch over to the screen for that. All right, so I got this directory called Surge, and one thing I have to do is I got to make sure I have npm installed. Okay, cool. So I'm going to install Surge, which is just an npm package. And I'll drop a link in the channel for those that are interested. Also note too, if you're running Cloudflare, I'm doing this without having the Cloudflare proxy turned on. If you have the Cloudflare proxy turned on, I think it does help in this regard. But something to kind of keep in mind. What's this? Why is this not wanting to install? Tested this out on another system. Give me 1 second. Okay, cool. Got it installed. So yeah. So what we're gonna do, I gotta actually pull up the docs real quick because I actually forgot exactly what to do. But it's only like a few commands for this whole thing. So adding a custom domain. So all we do, I'll share the docs real quick. So in the docs, this is what you do. So setting a CNAME record. So all we do is point your subdomain to this CNAME record, and you can see right here. This is the actual, or this is the not CNAME record, but you set the CNAME record to the point to this domain. And you can see the issue here is if you decommission the service, then theoretically you could run into the same issue. You're using the same destination, which is used for multiple services like this. So if I go over to Cloudflare, if I can find out where I put my Cloudflare at, where did Cloudflare go? So I'm going to just add a record, and I'm going to call it, I just call it Surge, and then I'm going to point to that domain. And then I have proxy disabled. This is how I was able to demo it. If you have it enabled, it makes it a little bit more difficult. I don't have too much context on that. So I'm just going to hit save here. And now if I go to, let's open up go back to Chrome here. And we go to surge.null44.org. We should get something. Yeah, so we got project not found. And this is pretty much showing a theoretical dead website. So let's get this thing launched. It's literally just like one command. So what we'll do is we will vim and we'll say, we'll just do index.html, and we'll just keep it simple. We'll just say null Welcome to null44.org. So something simple like that. And then to actually deploy the server, it's easy as like one command and should write this down. It's literally, where is it at? I gotta make an account real quick. Actually, I think I do have I actually have an account for this. So give me 1 second. So if you run Surge, it's going to ask for your account information. If you don't have an account, you just create one. I already created one, so I'm just going to plug in the information real quick without trying to dox myself. So 1 second. Okay, and then it's asking. So this is my email. Put in my password. It's asking if this is going to be your project directory, which I'm going to say yes. Domain, I'm going to put in the domain name. So it's going to be surge.null44.org. And it's uploading it. And within seconds, it should load up. Here we go. So that was it. I deployed a website. And now this is showing up. So that's pretty easy. From there, let's say this is just gonna be the same kind of example. Let's say this service is no longer needed anymore. We're gonna take it down. So what we'll do is we will tear it down, which I think it's just Surge discard, I believe. Or Surge, yeah, Surge discard. I think that does it. No. Remote. Let's see. Have it. Tearing down a project. Here it is, right here. Tear down. Okay, yeah. So Surge tear down. Do it. Okay, it needs the domain. So we'll do surge.null44.org. All right. So we go back to the site. We run it, and it no longer loads as expected. So as a malicious actor, we can come if we saw that this was a dangling subdomain, we could do the same thing. We can go and exploit it by creating our own website. So I'll just do that real quick. We'll make this really quick since we don't want to reinvent the wheel. What I'll do is I'm gonna do a surge log out. Okay, and then I'm going to do a surge, or what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a Vim index, and I'll call this not the real null44. So we know this is like the malicious website. And then we're just going to run a surge. Again, we're going to log in. I have a second account here. This will be the malicious actors account. So let me just sign into it real quick. All right, so I did that. And it's going to ask for the name again. So there's nothing stopping us from reusing that name. So we're going to do surge.null44.org. And we're going to do the same thing here. Load it up. And here we go. Not the real null44.org. So I just wanted to show, even though this is kind of repetitive here, I just wanted to show that this is vulnerable to multiple websites, and it's a pretty common thing. So I'll kind of jump into the next thing, and we'll get to questions in just a moment. So mitigation techniques. So ways to mitigate this. The biggest thing is when you decommission a service, have a decommissioning plan for it, and part of that should be cleaning up DNS records, like these dangling CNAME records. So policies, procedures is a big thing. Doing regular DNS audits. And ideally implementing automated tools. There are third-party tools you can pay for that do this. UpGuard, Prisma Cloud, Halo were a few that I found that can automatically scan, look for these sites that are no longer being actively used, these subdomains, and it will send you alerts saying, to take action against it. There might be some that automatically manage your DNS records for you. And I did see other recommendations like DNSSEC and other things like that to prevent this. I saw registration locking. I didn't get a chance to test those, so I don't know how valid that was. So that's something that could be extended. If anybody has any information on that, let us know at the end. So those are some ways to prevent. There are a few tools to check for vulnerable domains. I'm going to go over these real quick, do some quick demos. The first one is the Subdomain Takeover. So these are open source tools on GitHub. I think both of these are. So let me just copy this real quick and we'll demo this. So
you could just type Alt space and use the move command off the menu, and you can move that with your keyboard. If it seems like you can't grab that window.
Oh yeah, Alt space.
Alt space makes the drop down. Yeah, Alt space makes the little menu drop down for the window, and you can use your arrow key or hit M for move or something, and you can use your up, down, left, right, and that's one way to move that window over for something you can't grab.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, thanks for that. Appreciate it. Nice. Okay, so this first tool, I tested this one out. This was called Subdomain Takeover. I think I got this from Hacktricks. This is a really easy tool to use. It uses Python, so it should be pretty easy for most of you guys here. I'm going to show you guys how to use this. We'll do this against No 404. What we'll do too is we'll actually take the site down so we can have a better example, and hopefully this will not be cached. So we'll do surge takedown, and then we'll do the surge.null404.org. I think that's how we do it. No. Takedown. No such file. Wait, was it takedown? Oh, teardown. Sorry. Teardown. Surge.null404.org. Okay, so it's been removed. So if we go back to that, we should be able to see that that is down. I don't know where it went. I think okay, yeah, so we have a dangling CNAME record now. All right, so let's go through this real quick. This is pretty quick, so let me just go here, and I'm going to do a git clone of this repo. For those that are following along, I'll drop this link into the meetup text chat, and then what we'll do is we'll just do set up a virtual environment. This is Python, so virtual env. I can type today virtual env bnb. All right, and then we'll do env bin activate. Okay, and then we'll do a pip install of the requirements file. All right, and then what we do here is part of this has some subdomains already included in here, like wordless for subdomains. So, and actually, let me create one more subdomain just to speed up the scan real quick. I think I have. Oh, I do have one in here. Yeah. Let me. Actually, what I'll do is I'll delete that bucket. I want to. This is just quicken the scanning of this because I'm going to use a word list here, and I don't know if the word list has surge in it. So let me just delete the bucket real quick. And then I am going to delete that. Okay, that's been deleted now. So what we do is we're just going to run the script Python takeover.py / the domain / -w wordless, and then give it the threads. So what we'll just do is Python takedown -d. That's going to be we'll do null44.org. So it's just going to be the domain itself, and then we'll do the wordless, and we'll use but the wordless were in here should be. Where is it? Oh yeah, it is in here. It's weird. So we'll just use subdomains.text and give it a thread count of 20. And oh, did I forget something? -r? Wait, what? No, oh, -e for threads. All right, and here it goes. Scanning. It should give us something in here. Oh yeah, Jesse got it. Oh yeah, he got it working. What? Oh, there we go. Okay, so it did show a few over takeover detected, test.no44.org. So this is exactly what I wanted to demo here. It's showing that the CNAME record in the one of the vulnerable CNAME records here. So that's just that's one example of a tool you can leverage for this. The other one was this Subfinder, which does the same thing. This uses Docker, but just in the essence of time, I'm not going to go over it. I'll let you guys check that out on your own. Other than that, we can jump into questions. So we'll jump into that.